Great. Let me welcome officially to the microphone my guest, Alhaji Iribad Ibrahim. He's a security and international relations analyst, and he's joining me in the studio. Alhaji, good morning.
Good morning, friends. So good to see you.
Good to see you. Good to see you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Welcome. The pleasure is mine.
My producers and I have had the opportunity to talk, and I have mentioned that anytime I get to the Kaokudi Junction, I see this huge billboard of yours, and you are not too comfortable, you are not too happy the way the youth especially is taking up to sports betting, and you have made it clear on that board that life is not a game of chance. We have invited you for us to talk about this. A couple of weeks ago, I witnessed something very terrible that happened at the Hacho Junction. There's another sports betting company, and I got there. I was curious, so I wanted to know the crowds, their numbers on motorbikes, only for me to be told that somebody had actually won a bet, and I think the organizers, something happened, and so the bouncers of that betting company, I think, pounced on the young man. He collapsed, and then message or an SOS message was sent to his camp, and that most of the young guys in the hood had to move in there, and you can imagine the level of destruction, the vandalization of property. And I'm like, whoa, this is something that we need to talk about. And so since you're here, you've been campaigning against this. What actually moved you to join this wagon? Cecil, yes.
I'm exhilarated to be here.
Yeah.
My warm regards to the director of radio at GBC and the director general of the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. GBC continues to remain a shining example in the midst of all the partisanship created by some of the radio stations that embrace sensationalism. You've remained true to your conservative values. And just like the PBS in the United States, you are state-focused, forward-driven, and all that. So I would commend the authorities here for remaining quite committed to your patriotism and nationalism as a public broadcaster.
I'm sure you have heard there's a one-man campaigner who's pushing for GBC to be scrapped into a zoo. You have heard that?
I think some of these comments should be treated with a pinch of salt.
Okay.
They are irrelevant. They are not germane to the national discourse. I've been associated with this huge brand for quite a number of years, and I know the impact in terms of reach and the quality of content. And Cecil, you also need commendation. Your predecessors did great, but you picked up the baton from where they left off. So congratulations on that.
Thank you very much.
In security studies, we have what we call early warning signals. Whatever happens in a conflict situation, whether in Alavanya or Boko, or it happens in Syria or in Ukraine, there are subliminal signs that serve as vestiges or precursors to what eventually will happen. And anybody who lives in a fantasy world thinking that gambling or sports betting does not pose a national security threat for us as a country, then I'm sorry. What you witnessed fits the pattern of violence that is created as a result of sports betting. And I actually wanted to share something with you.
Okay.
This is a young man who lost a bet in the US. This video has gone viral. He lost a basketball bet. And he got so violent, smashing a TV set and strangulating a colleague who was watching the match with. And listen to the swear words. And so, if as a country we don't rise and start doing something about this, very soon, what you saw, just as the tip of the iceberg, you can imagine if those guys on motorbikes had access to Kalashnikovs. You can imagine the sheer wanton vandalism and destruction that could have been caused. So I want this nation to do a little introspection, Cecil. You take a pittance as tax from these foreign companies with their local collaborators, then you mortgage the future of your country to gambling, and you think it's okay. And when we raise concerns and raise red flags about this menace, someone tells you what they are doing is illegal. But mind you, Cecil.
But that's legal. because of the Gaming Act 2006, Act 721, points out clearly some of the measures that should be put in place so that we cure some of these early warning signals from.
I agree with you, sir.
Yeah.
And not everything that is legal is moral. And not everything that is legal is right.
Yeah.
I don't know of any Lebanese or Chinese or Russian or Indian government that will allow Ghanaian businessmen open betting centers to destroy the future of their youth. The Indian government is building tech-savvy people for the future.
Yeah.
China is building people that are working in Huawei, that are catching up with the world. These are serious countries. And always when we mention our backwardness as a people, we mention the Asian giants. In Singapore, it is forbidden to gamble. That's the mark of a serious country. A country that is serious about its future, a country that is serious about its youth, human resource base. So, Cecil, I thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah.
And I believe the authorities that matter will take a second look. Look, there are more betting centers in Ghana than there are libraries. That is a national menace. Very soon, there could be more betting centers than churches and mosques in this country.
Apart from the violent threats that you just talked about, morally, what can we look at and then maybe quantify the losses that as a state we stand to lose? You understand? And then maybe that will bring out the true picture for our message to get to the authorities that be.
I had a conversation with a top, banking executive. He's a known person.
Yes.
But because I don't have clearance from him, I want to mention his name. He says when you quantify what Ghana loses eventually, because there is no resource better than your human resources. Ghana is losing millions of dollars worth of human capacity, result of sports betting. To go and decide whether Real Madrid or Manchester will win a match just to win some coin. But in the long term, you are chipping away at the potential your youth would have for your long-term development as a country.
Of the capital, you find these betting centers dotted around the densely populated communities that we have, especially in Accra and in the regions. Yes.
Unfortunately, Cecil, the scramble for Africa taught us that colonialists came to milk this continent.
Yes.
And already where there is abject poverty, there is dejection, there is despondency. That is where they go to milk people. So therefore, I believe somebody is cashing in on our ignorance and our poverty. And the state has a responsibility to clamp down on this thing. It is important because if care is not taken very soon, we will lose everything as a country to sports betting. And you find the mainstream media houses give a lot of latitude and leverage to these betting companies. I would want to see Lebanese. First of all, I would like to tell the state I'm a friend to the state. And as an ally to the state, I wouldn't campaign on any issue that would make the government or the state look bad. Because we are all stakeholders in the development of the Republic of Ghana. And taking moves or making moves that are antithetical to the well-being and popularity of government is bad.
Yeah.
And I'm not going on that tangent. But I'm just trying to prick the conscience of this nation. Perhaps our leaders have accentuated the importance of the taxes paid by these betting companies. Someone would also argue these betting companies are employing some of the youth because also that's it to respond to queries and also decide who wins, whose card is right and all that. They are gainfully employed. But when you do the net benefit analysis, the balance of disadvantage is tipped, towards the state. And I believe it is important that ministers, parliamentarians, and representatives of constituents from these deprived communities you are talking about speak up in parliament. And Cecil, this is not an isolated campaign. It's a multi-pronged campaign. We have parliamentarians involved. And
I see.
Yes, when we are back from the Christian Yuletide, you hear parliamentarians speak on the floor.
I see.
On this particular issue, we have the clergy on board. And then everybody's trying to control opinion leaders, civil society organizations, a very powerful think tank called Baraka Policy Initiative, BPI, is also involved. So it's a multi-point campaign. We are meeting the youth on social media where they are. We are meeting people on the streets. Of course, we can't counter the huge billboards and outdoor advertising done by these companies. So at every turn of your head, there is a huge billboard announcing one form of a betting company or another. And it looks like every fortnight or a month, a new betting company pops up. I want to see libraries. I want to see companies from abroad that are teaching our youth.
It takes a political will to do this. Political will.
That is why we are.
There's a whole commission, don't forget, that supervises this industry, Gaming Commission. So what it means is that we have to scrap the commission. Is that what you're suggesting?
That could be an overstretch.
Okay.
And as I said, this campaign is incremental, it is steady, and it's not meant to be radical. And I believe that gradually people will come around and understand the things that are important and progressive and forward-leaning for the Republic of Ghana. Of course, the NLA is also there. And people have been gambling for decades, if not centuries. It's one of the oldest traits in life. But a gambler doesn't win. A sports bettor is not a winner, he's a loser. Because sports betting is a veneer or a tinsel that serves as a mirage. You bet with 50 Ghana cedis, maybe you win 1,000 Ghana cedis. The idea you have in mind is that if 50 Ghana cedis could secure me 1K, then let me put in 500 Ghana cedis. Before you say jack, the sports betting company has taken away all of what it gave you. In fact, it beguiled you. It's deceived you into thinking you are a winner because you are a loser. And after taking what they gave you, the little money you have would now start going into sports betting. So in the final analysis, you are a loser.
Big time.
And not a winner. So therefore, Cecil, this idea should go down well with people that through toil and sweat, through farming, waking up very early in the morning to come and work at GBC, the money you get is more dignifying than deciding who wins a match to win so much.
In this conversation, where should we place parents, guardians, their responsibility, their roles that they should also play as far as this conversation is concerned?
I'm told in some of these deprived communities, these young people are edged. This is a new phenomenon that is eating deep into our psyche and social fiber as a people. Just like Sakawa. We are told when Sakawa was in Zeitgeist, there were parents that would say, oh, Cecil went to school. You have the college degree. Cecil doesn't have a house. Cecil doesn't ride a V8. Don't you see your brother next door? He did Sakawa and he's making this much. Parents are now pointing at sports bettors as role models for their own wards. That is how menacing this thing has become. So therefore, we urge parents to be partners in the fight against this sports betting, because you don't edify your child if you teach him to bet. And the research, the body of research we have done points to the fact that there's a lot of testosterone in sports betting.
Like
the male-dominated area. And I'm happy our girls are not involved in this. So we have a lot of work to do. And I modestly would call on parents to question their sons where they got the latest smartphone, how they made whatever money they have made. Let's ask for accountability and make sure that we don't push these children into the hands of bad people.
You'll be surprised that beyond the walls of these betting companies are smaller gaming machines that you will find in every drinking bar, and you will still find children move in there, and it's and I have seen a few times, I've seen some of these foreign nationals come to park their vehicles, they move in there, they empty those gaming machines, and then they take their money and off. And they're doing this in collaboration with their Ghanaian counterparts.
Cecil,
yes, Alhaji.
The property.
Yes.
The densely populated areas you are talking about.
Yes.
Today, if Cecil wants to build a house, perhaps you would buy a piece of land in Dodowa.
Yes.
Real estate has really boomed in this capital. It's not easy to come by a parcel of land in established communities. It is the same people in these communities that rent out property to the betting companies. So therefore, we all have a role to play. That if you want to rent my property, what are you doing with the property? Is it going to be detrimental to the people in my community? And these gaming centers, betting centers, are close to churches, close to mosques, are sanctuaries. They share impunity. And mind you, the white folks you see empty some of these little kids and then go away with the money. Their kids are at, Montessori schools, well protected, in walled and barbed wire compounds, while our own 12-year-olds, 11-year-olds, 15-year-olds are gambling away their future. So the solution lies within us as a people, because for the expert, he's here to make money.
Yeah.
And whatever, that is why they continue to plunder and pillage our natural resources. They are not here because they like us. They are here because they want to make money. And so therefore, it is important for us to repudiate the idea of such ill investments. Don't call this an investment. This is a destruction of your future. It is going to decimate the potential of your youth. And therefore, whether those small toys or online portals, that is why the NCA, that is under the Ministry of Communications, has a role to play in this. Because we are trying to prevent the physical dominance of these betting companies, but they are online portals as well. So there are parents that don't know that their kids are engaged in sports betting. Because you can
have their smartphones.
You have your smartphone, you can go onto an online portal and gamble. So therefore, it's a serious menace. And I believe the earlier Cecil, we rose and then spoke against this, and the better it will be for us as a country.
Do we need to make a radical move, or gradually we can win the fight by talking about it like we're doing now? Or we need to take some strict, decisions, policies?
You made a very valid point when you said we need the political will to tackle this. We are adopting a bottom-up approach. So we are talking to people, talking to journalists, talking to parents, engaging people who are commuting on our roads through billboards. But normally, bottom-up approaches take time. Because before that, positive energy reverberates throughout society, it takes time. A top-down approach really works. Maybe the president speaks to the nation and says, this is bad. My brother Yoweri Museveni in Uganda has been able to do this. I'm going to do this. So, Gaming Commission, don't renew licenses of sports betting companies. That would be a thumbs up for government. But of course, we don't want to stampede the government into taking decisions, because revenue is at stake here. So that is why we want to engage in an incremental and very, modest way. We aren't using radicalism at all. We continue to engage. People who want to talk can knock on our doors. We operate an open door policy. We want to come up with ideas for government to rehabilitate. Because an argument that is given by the youth who engage in this, Cecil, is that if you say I shouldn't gamble or do sports betting, what jobs have you created? So therefore, as we say this is so bad, we are also prodding government to create job opportunities, because there needs to be a viable alternative. So when there's a viable alternative, at some point, the nation can take a sweeping decision to make this.
Okay, I'll share something with you. I think I've said it here before. I lost interest in international football, in even local football at a point in time, because I noticed the way these sporting betting companies have invaded the industry. And it gets to a point you can tell from where you sit that this match has been fixed. And so looking at what's happening, the corruption, the levels of corruption that even hits the international football body, and that even affected us here locally, you sit back and you realize that all these companies that have moved in probably could have contributed to the mess. What do you say?
Cecil, betting companies are exploitative.
Yes.
They are exploiting our passion and love for football.
Good.
And I think the earlier we realized it, the better. Before these betting companies came, matches were genuine.
Yeah.
But today people fix outcomes of matches because somebody has put £1 million.
Yes, and has to win.
And has to win by hook or crook. So therefore, as you sit and you enjoy the match, somebody's exploiting you. So therefore, I believe that we need to continue hammering this point and engaging people so that eventually we all understand
that
you can enjoy good football. We are not saying don't watch football. Football is a part of our culture as a people. But when someone exploits your passion for the game and destroys the future of your next door neighbor, then I have a huge problem.
Okay, an international relations analyst, and he has joined us in the studio. He's one person who has actually come out boldly to speak against sports betting. I think he's not alone. I'm with him and a few others who have also joined me. The number of times I've talked about this on this network, the reason for which we have him in our studio today, having this discussion. So our hope is that government will listen to us. Our hope is that the policymakers will listen to us and let us do something quickly so that we prevent the youth of this country from becoming useless, because we can make very good use of these youth that we're talking about. 0302770179. Who's on the line?
Morning, Cecil.
Good morning, Lincoln.
How are you, my brother?
I'm good.
Yes. And good morning to your guest. Good morning to Dr. Kwesieni, one of the man full of security issues. So we sat down as a nation. We allow certain things to gain roots in this country, and then we'll come back, sit on radio, and pretend as if what is going on, we don't know anything about it. We allow these betting centers to spring up. Look, every community in this country have these betting centers. Go to Tudu. I don't know whether that is the headquarters. Go to Tudu this morning as I'm talking to you now and see people there.
Sadu.
Look, there is nothing we can do.
It's full time, yeah.
There is nothing. And
I
let me ask you, I want education on this. What is the difference between betting and this casino that we have when you go to some of these hotels? What is the difference?
Yes. You go ahead. When you are done, my guest and I will talk about it. So,
okay. What I'm saying is, the gentleman made mention of library. Fine. Some of these youth you see in town, some of them, they come to Accra and other capital cities. They are on their own.
Yeah.
They are not with their parents.
Seriously.
And those children as young as 10, 12, 13, who came from different...
That's one in Africa. It says 12 years. He's here alone.
When you go to traffic intersection, you see some of them begging.
Yeah.
They are not living with their parents. So when you are going to talk to parents, I don't know how many parents you are going to talk to. If we can do something about these betting centers, if we want to, close them down or something, then we should stop issuing licenses to them to operate.
Yeah.
Because as I'm talking to you now, I don't know whether those operating, they have licenses or they've registered. Are you getting me? So if we are serious as a nation, and no more as bringing, we should stop issuing licenses to them to operate. And then those existing ones, we give them time to stop operating. We can do that. By talking to parents, it will not help.
Okay. Thank you very much, Lincoln. So Lincoln has also made some observation, and he thinks that there are children in the capital who do not actually live with their parents. They have come on their own from other places, other parts of the country, and they are surviving on these things, all these activities that we're talking about. He also wanted to know the difference between betting, the sports betting, and casinos that we find in our hotels. And yes,
when you have a third world country that centralizes everything in a choked capital, this is what outcome you get.
Yeah.
And maybe, Cecil, if you are not from here, if you came from another region, maybe school brought you here. I came here because of uni.
Yeah.
Yes, of course, I wasn't born in Accra.
Yeah.
I came because of uni. Under the tutelage of your parents, just go to University of Ghana straight. So of course I couldn't have been a street hawker. What about the 12-year-old you met?
Yeah.
Or the 10-year-old whose mother in Sawam says, pick the next minibus, go to Accra, go sleep at Circle, start doing something with your life. Many people tell you that was how they came to Accra.
Yeah.
And so what are we doing as a country? Look at Sahelian children, Nigerian, Malian children on our streets.
Yeah.
We think it's cool. In the age of terrorism, somebody can strap an explosive around a child and there is an explosion on the streets at rush hour. So we lose sight of things that can, cause a huge detriment to our well-being and security and stability as a country. So I agree with him entirely that we need to do something about the kids that come without the protection of a guardian to a very ruthless capital, Accra.
Before you go to the casino thing, let me pick a call quickly from Yankee so we don't lose him. Yankee, good morning.
Good morning, Professor.
Good.
How are you?
I'm good.
I'm not grateful for all this wonderful teaching you are going to today. And this is the beginning of corruption we're talking about in Ghana. The government must come out with very good policies that will cut all this confusion. How can such small children be involved in this process? You don't have any future after all. So please, I'm happy today my brother Alaji is talking about this very important issue. Let us come out with very good words, very good people who are prepared to implement. Nation cannot build on gambling and corruption. We can never develop as a nation if we allow our young ones to throw away their very good talent. So please, we must be up and doing as a nation, especially this the authority. They should be saying that the money they get for themselves and their houses and their families. But in the world of the people, it must be that concern. So God bless the people very much.
Thank you very much, Yankee. So you can go ahead with
it. So on the casino issue, just as you know, my master's in security studies was in conflict, peace and security. But before then, the U.S. government had taken me to Reno, Nevada. That's close to Vegas.
Yeah.
And Vegas, they say, is the same city. And I did youth and community conflict resolution in the United States. If I had to take lunch, I had to go to El Dorado, which was a sprawling casino. And so in some parts of the United States, gambling is part of the culture. Casino life is part of the culture. But it's alien to us in this part of the world. And gambling has got different faces. And it's the Frankenstein in the room, but its manifestations come in different forms. Staking lotto is gambling. It's not any worse than sports betting. And going to a casino to patronize it, there are times, because of intelligence gathering, we go into casinos and we see what happens. We go undercover and go into casinos to find out what kind of people patronize what goes there. And some casinos are not smoke free. People smoke, prostitutes, that come in and out and all that. So the sum total of gambling, in whichever form it is, sports betting, staking lotto, operating and patronizing a casino, it is evil. It doesn't help any society. It doesn't edify the society. It destroys it.
Okay. Kofi Dixon is on the line. Kofi.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Kofi.
Yes, I heard the initial person talk about closing down this soccer activities at Uganda, not under the you know, as we all know, personally, I feel Ghana has no position in this country. So anything about nobody can talk. We had a Portugal push down practice in Rwanda, nobody talk. But here, just stay down this and see the resolution bring something to attention. Now, please, can you bring that to correct an impression? You actually try to discourage that from using this type of presentation. But so I always come to
you say I discourage you from doing what?
Discourage that from using the platform, a citation platform, written French or whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't think that maybe the primary example is there time that I feel like that person understanding everything.
Oh, okay, I get you. Okay. Okay, all right. Let me come over to you, Alhaji. Good. In the case of Yoweri Museveni, as you mentioned, Dixon clearly says that he has no opposition. So he can take decisions and he succeeds.
Okay, I think that's a very valid point.
Yeah.
But I think
But in our case,
we are descending.
Yes,
we are forward leading.
Yeah.
Most of the national decisions we have taken that have backfired.
Yeah.
They were as a result of lack of engagement with the people.
Okay.
A classical case in point is the botched referendum.
Yeah.
On the election of
MMDC.
It wasn't that the idea was bad, but there wasn't a trickle down of information for people to internalize what positives were in that. So therefore, Ghanaians are forward leading. Of course, dictatorship has been thrown to the dogs.
Yeah.
We aren't going back to those days where decrees were the order of the day.
Yeah.
But I believe when we engage, policymakers will want to come around.
Let me pick another call for you, Robert, before we go for news at 8. Robert.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I want to thank your wisdom person. A young man that I strongly believe and very optimistic that we together as a country we can, come to help this young man. Definitely we're going to have a second Kofi Annan in this country. Congratulations. These are some of the things that some of us have been talking against in our small corner. But we don't have that kind of, voice to be able to combat, the spreading, the escalation, the proliferation of some of these betting companies in this country. And authorities sit down, look at all these things, and they have not even seen the disadvantage of all these things, and they allow people to, approach it with some kind of moral audacity. Look, there we have a whole lot of problem. I normally cite examples that most of us went through this.
Robert, I wish I could take all your concerns, but do me a favor. Let's go for business news. When we return, we will still engage my guest. We'll take a few calls and then we see how we can spread the conversation and the message to the authorities. Okay, so let's go for business news. We will be back after the news with Alhaji Eribad Ibrahim. News is next. As a security and international relations analyst, we're discussing this worrying trend of our teeming youth and teenagers engaging in sports betting. Sports betting has gained currency in Ghana, and if care is not taken, we will be doomed as a nation. So we're back. Those of you who could not join us during the second segment of the morning show, we want to extend the conversation. So you can join me now. Let's share the concerns. Let's see what we can do. As parents, we also have responsibilities. As opinion leaders, community leaders, what are we also going to do? Well, some people will talk about its economic benefits to the country, but is that all? We have seen numbers upon numbers, and when you talk about children even under the age of 12, 10, patronizing some of these companies, you tend to wonder whether the laws of the land work. Because the Gaming Act 2006 Act 721 states clearly that a person responsible for a gaming machine shall not permit a child to use the gambling machine or to even enter a place where the gambling machine is operated. But as I speak to you, go to all the places that we know. Mention Accra Newtown, mention Nima, mention Tudu, mention the communities, mention Hacho, mention Malam, mention all the places. You will find children under the ages of 12, 10, 15, patronizing. Is that the way to go? Certainly not. And we are raising the concern. Is somebody listening to us? 0302770179. You can also drop me a message. 0244387793. It's scary, very, very scary and worrying from what I have just gathered, that parents are actually encouraging their children to engage in these practices. And I think it is something that we have to condemn. And I'm happy my guest has also condemned that. And we are also adding our voices to this so that at least, we look at the future of these children so that we don't jeopardize their future. So we'll get more Alhaji Iribad Ibrahims, more Cecils behind the console, contributing their quota towards the development of this nation, because somebody who holds a PhD in betting is not a human capital or a human resource for the nation. Am I lying?
That's true.
and I'm sure even amongst the children there are some who hold a PhD in betting because they think that yes, they have been winning, but I don't think that's the direction we must go now.
I agree with you entirely, Cecil. And I believe this battle is winnable.
Yeah.
And Cecil, in this country, sometimes I've taken isolationist positions.
Yeah.
But I always come up tops.
Yeah.
And somebody thinks there are too many betting companies. They have big bucks.
Yeah.
They have a lot of money. And you can't win against them. But when you politely speak to the conscience of
the people,
that is when you effect change.
Okay.
And that change will inevitably.
Okay. I'm also happy you talked about the fact that some parliamentarians are involved in this. How soon are we going to see some feel some impact?
Courtesy partners of Irbat Security Consulting this effort. Baraka Policy Institute has been brought into the scope and the reach of its research. The parliamentarian in question that will give that statement to the floor of Parliament needed an extensive, database. And we had for the southern part of the country
collected that data.
Yeah, we are covering a good chunk of the country, so that the person will speak on authority to speak to the conscience of his colleagues in Parliament. Okay.
Now, from where you stand as a non-state actor, don't you feel threatened
by
what you're doing?
Oh no!
Because these guys, I'm sure would also think that.
So,
yes.
You see, when Christ came, he had to swim against the tide. When Prophet Muhammad came, he had to swim against the tide.
Yeah.
But how did they do it? They did it politely.
Yeah.
So therefore, somebody could be doing something wrong, but don't be in the face of the person. That is why our modus operandi has been very courteous, has been polite. We're even ready to sit with the betting company.
Yeah.
If you take this much from us, what are you giving in return? And instead of investing $1 million into destroying our future, we may have proposals for you. The other things you can do, capacity building, and build our youth into artisans so that they can craft things, and you can also get your return. So if the motive is to make profits, there are other more wholesome, even wholesome ways, because this one isn't wholesome. There are wholesome ways of benefiting from our country.
Yeah.
And so I'm the least threatened by this because the modus operandi has been courteous, it's been polite. We operate an open door policy. We are ready to sit with them. We are not condemning anybody. We are not calling out specific betting centers.
Yeah.
We're only raising awareness that as experts investing in Ghana, they can make better investment than destroying the future of our youth.
Immediately I picked the news that someone called and mentioned to me that he's actually come across the billboard sited at the Kalkudi Junction. He uses that road a lot. It does never caught his attention.
Wow.
But it's because of this conversation we are having.
Wow.
On his way to work, he got there and then looked around and saw. He said he has seen it, but it has never caught his attention.
Wow.
So he wants to salute you, and salute us for tabling this issue and talking about it
and then,
this morning. Yes.
I'm so happy that Radio Ghana
yes.
renowned GBC. I believe that we can have further discussions
yes.
so that we can partner each other. Because if there is anarchy, everybody stands to lose. And mind you, the reason your good friend, the caller, didn't spot us was that we are in the mesh of
billboards, yes.
There's a bigger one on
bigger.
So it dwarfs ours.
Exactly.
So you have to squint in some cases to see our own message.
Yeah.
And look, Black Star, players.
Yes.
These are like role models to us. I don't know why they keep endorsing these gambling companies. Renowned people who have worked with us in peace building during the election in 2016, they are advertising these companies and calling the youth that look up to them to gamble away their lives. My question is, to play in the Black Stars would have taken a lot of hard work. It was by dint of braving the early morning weather to go jogging. It took hard work to become what you became. Why then do you not teach your fellow and the youth who look up to you to also embrace hard work to achieve their ambitions in life?
I've seen one of such billboards with a former Black Star player
as a Black Star
endorsing.
Of course, if he was gambling, I don't think he would have had the stamina to join the Black Stars. So please, we are politely calling on people. This is evil, and let's try our best and protect and firewall our youth from the trappings of laziness caused by sports.
I was told John joined us on the line. I don't know why we lost him. John, sorry about that one. Get back to us. 0302770179 is the number. You can also join us. 0302770179 is the number. Tell us your name and where you're calling from. Good morning. Yes, good morning. Robert, you are back. Okay, let's hear you.
Hello.
Yes, Robert, let's hear you.
Yes, actually lamped, and then there was a time for the youth. You know, every time I thought that you raised the main issue, I know for the fact that when you call anybody at all who believes that we should allow the youth to gamble or to actually go to these various betting centers and then bet, we are going to need three main factors. One, we raise the issue of poverty, that the only way we can solve the cancer of poverty is to actually engage the youth in betting. Two, we are going to talk about the issue of unemployment, that it has created or generated employment opportunities for the youth. And the question that I ask is that, look, my brother, why do you engage in Sakawa? Some of them today are rich. Should we solve our poverty situation with engaging in Sakawa? I know a lot of armed robbers in this country who are very, very rich. In fact, in 2002, when I was looking for, when I see that place where I was,
Robert, I'm sure the police will invite you for you to say you know a lot of armed robbers who are rich and you have been quiet over this.
And people will be left in the society. All these Nigerian guys who engage in, fraud and other things, they need because.
Yes, but it's not only Nigerians who are engaged in some of these things. There are Ghanaians who are equally doing worse things in this country. So let's not stereotype, okay? Let's.
2002, when I was evacuating where I domicile, the woman that was given to me, the owner was a prostitute living in Cote d'Ivoire. She became rich. Everybody knows her in the area. So should we solve our poverty situation with engaging in prostitution or armed robbery or antisocial behavior? So I know very well that because of these two main reasons, people even believe that we should allow our youth to engage in betting. But I don't even think that is the way to go. I strongly believe that if we can actually discipline our youth and then create genuine employment opportunities for them, if you even help them, people talk of illiteracy, but you see a lot of graduates using education betting. So those are some of the issues that the citizen need to, thinking that these issues will not predominate some of us who are against, betting and other gambling by the youth engage themselves. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Robert. Can we take some more calls? You can join us if you are also concerned and you are worried like we are. Join us. Let's have a conversation on this very issue. Tell me your name and where you're calling from. Good morning.
Well, good to have you in your studio. I've just been wondering, the agencies that you say is collaborating with,
I've not heard the name of sports minister or sports authority or the newly elected sports boss who has taken over from Yantichi. And Mr. Ibad or Haji Ibad has not also told us the position of the law or what the Constitution of Ghana says about gambling. We have legal litigants in the country, and I've just been wondering whether we will not encounter any legal battles. He's saying we have to crush these groups. Ghana, land of freedom, land of peace, land of freedom of speech. Mr. Ibad, can you take me through if there are no constitutional problems, legalities, and also if we are sure we are embarking on the right course, and what does the sport agencies and sport authorities say about this gambling on the gambling betting? Whether they do the betting for our Ghanaian teams as well, and you have to take us back to the history, how these groups came into the country. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So these agencies Alhaji Dauda mentioned, for instance, have you engaged them?
I thank Alhaji Dauda for raising such important concern.
Yeah.
And of course, I worked for a moment as spokesperson for the former GFA boss.
Okay.
We meet as often as it's convenient for both of us.
You mean Mr. Kusinyanti?
Yes,
okay.
Yes. When President Yantechi took over, maybe 13 or 14 years
ago, yeah.
Perhaps there were not as many sports betting companies. Yeah, so he has a firm handle on the issue. And we meet as often as it's convenient.
Yeah.
The last meeting was only a few days ago.
I see.
But before then, I had raised concerns about this. He also shared his perspective and all that. And Kate he's the sheriff in town. And of course, the sports minister is a fine gentleman.
Yeah.
He's a very good friend of mine. And so I believe with time, I like that Wood's concerns are legitimate. Tobacco, the legal battle surrounding tobacco. So people are making a lot of money from things that are detrimental to the health of people and societies around the world. And as to encountering any legal tussle, we've been very careful skirting our message around. We don't specifically mention any brand, but it's the phenomenon we are tackling. So when you mention a brothel where prostitutes are, then that brothel can take you to court. But when you say prostitution is bad, you're raising awareness in a courteous way. I don't think you're stepping on any toes.
Okay, good. Let me take a call from Seth. Seth, good morning. Seth, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Let's hear you.
Yeah, my name is Seth. I'm calling from Akaramanjo.
Okay.
Actually, I'm saying this betting system was done by the footballers, if I'm not mistaken. First of all, this was not in the system. But recently, this came into the system. And if I'm not mistaken, I think the first time I saw betting, I think I betted Benny as a pig farm. That's what the place I saw it. And this is bringing a whole lot of conditions to the country. People are fighting, killing themselves, and so on and so forth. So I think the authorities giving the license to open these companies, they have to be blamed. Because the thing is not good to our customs and all our conditions and then to the country, not be allowed that and give the license to operate. So the only thing they have to put a stop to is to close all these betting, and then we have a free and a piece of money in our country. So that is my contribution.
Okay, thank you very much, Seth from Omanjo. Okay, so let me take your final message and then we can have. Okay, I'm told I can pick a few calls, so there's permission from my producers. 0302770179. You can join us. 0302770179. You can join us. Tell us your name and where you are calling from. I think there's someone coming through. Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This is John calling from Herschel.
This is who?
John calling from Herschel.
John, let me hear you.
Please, I'm talking about it. You are discussing about the robbing in the nation or.
We're talking about sports betting. Sports betting.
Okay, sports betting. If that's the case, and then the foreigners matter that you are talking about too. You see, for example, if the Blackface is hitting the iron on the floor, if everybody is talking about that particular thing, doesn't mean that the foreigners, they are playing our business in this nation. That's why we are still talking about the Nigerians. Some of them, they don't buy the thing before going to put it in the store. They tell how.
John, I don't know where you're going because you're now trying to dilute, the conversation we are having.
In the second side, we are talking about the corruption.
No. John, you do not understand. You give me the impression that you don't understand the discussion we are having. So I will not allow you to dilute the conversation we are having. We need to be focused so that we get the message right. You heard my guest saying very well that he's been trying to skirt an appropriate message so that you don't step on toes. Okay? Who's next on the line? Good morning. Andy Cole. Okay. Andy Cole, the footballer.
I do say so, but I'm not very Andy Cole.
Okay, all right.
I appreciate that effort to get whether like normal the state of betting the country, whether like abolish it completely. We're going to come very fast in doing that. Well, these betting companies are not just here in the country to take care for the youth as soon as they say failure. But these same betting companies getting this money or revenue for the government through the gaming committee. Then these same betting companies are those responsible for some of these things. In this country, before our league went down, about two of these betting companies were sponsoring some of our premiership. And so it's very difficult for even the newly elected US president to take its foot down. So either advocate the contract or otherwise
be difficult.
The operation of this betting companies in the country.
It's a tall order.
The minister himself.
But we'll keep talking. Talk about it.
Good morning. Before this thing can be done, then we must have a constitution that bars governing the country. Without anywhere governing this, I think either is going to silence it. I don't know that this becomes very difficult. This governing the country is completely eradicated. This is what I want.
Okay, all right. Well, Eribad Alhaji, you've listened to him. He thinks that is a tall order.
Yeah, it is.
And he's actually cited in the past where some of these companies have actually supported our league.
Yes.
They make so much money.
Yes.
And they pay back to societies. They will call it their corporate social responsibility. So maybe we will have to sit again and strategize and see how we can go about this. But I'm happy the way the interest is getting to people and we are all talking about it. Let me find out who is next on the line. Hello, good morning. Samuel from La Paz. Sammy? Okay, all right. Let me hear you, Samuel.
Yeah, I like the guy. The guy was...
I put it on my record that I want to see him personally because of this conflict. So what you say, when you go to the ghettos, you see a lot of boys doing all these things. So if the government can arrange like after you finish your DSS, then all the districts collaborate with all the kids, they give them land, they started their community farming before they go to these free assets, and they can even use there to eat their own food that they planted before they go to SS. It will be very good because the girls, they don't have anything doing. That's why they are doing all this stuff. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay. You want to add a word to what he said? Okay. All right. So I was talking about the fact that we have had in the past two of such companies, just as the previous caller mentioned, sponsored our league. And some of them have openly been seen supporting some individual players. And so you sit back again and say that it's a kind of corporate social responsibility. They take from the people, they find a way of giving back to people. And he is suggesting that it will be difficult for you. Do you foresee that? Do you see that as actually going to be difficult for you and all those who have expressed interest in partnering you to win this battle?
Thank you, Cecil. On the face value, you will see this facade of corporate social responsibility as a critical pro. And people following the impeachment proceedings in the U.S. By now are conversant with that time. I don't think the balance of advantage is on our side as a people.
Okay.
And if you can give 100K per annum as corporate social responsibility, refurbishing a hospital ward or taking care of people with disability, and in return you destroy the future of thousands more, then it means your corporate social responsibility is not sincere. You do legit business, the proceedings of a legitimate business would go to help the poor and needy in society. But you don't engage in selling liquor. Then you come back and say, we are helping people to be sober, when you are the cause of their drunkenness. So please, let's see this problem as it is. And we need to start tackling it as a people. And everybody has a responsibility. Do you have a brother who engages in sports betting? Start talking to him. Do you have a neighbor who engages in this? Do you have a work colleague? And I'm even told people who feel underemployed, they take a salary, but still they sports bet. So it has become a groundswell phenomenon. You need to do that. And mind you, while in church or in the mosque, as a preacher is even preaching, maybe somebody is checking on the outcome. Just before the pulpit, in the house of God. So please, we have to be very careful as a people, and we need to tackle this issue now before it grows into...
Okay. There's a text without a name, but it says, "Good morning, Cecil and Alhaji. We used to have football pool authority." You remember? So he's asking, what was their function? Football pool authority. Yes, I do. I remember. Maybe I can pick one quick call for you, and then we can say bye-bye and wish you well. But just as I've indicated, our support is always with you, and we are ready to talk about this issue.
GBC, for all the years I've been engaged with this beautiful and progressive media house, has always championed good causes in society. I like the way you are so conservative. You don't sell ad spots to sports betting companies. And if you do, I hope you don't.
No, we don't.
It's a marketing issue.
No, we don't. We don't.
I would urge other media houses to be like GBC.
Okay.
Let's strangulate them out of business. Let's take oxygen. And then outdoor advertising companies with billboard spots. You know who they pay their taxes to? And they pay to the AMA. So the AMA should also have a meeting with the outdoor company. No parent in his right senses or their right senses will be proud that their son is a better. Parents want to point to journalists as their sons, lawyers or doctors or engineers or technicians as their sons. Now, nobody would want to use your betting son as a poster boy because it's evil. And I believe that charity, they say, begins at home. When parents begin to reject the process of betting, then the young ones will understand that it's better to go and do by day and take a wage, which will be appreciated by my mother and my father, rather than gambling away.
Okay. Who's this last caller on the line? Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yep. Move away from your radio a bit or reduce the volume on your set so we can avoid the noise.
Thank you, sir. Is it okay?
Yes, go ahead. Tell us your name.
My name is David. I'm calling from Taifa.
Gideon from Taifa.
Yeah, David. Calling from.
Okay, David, let's hear you.
In fact, I'm very pleased to hear the young man and both of you are very good. You are pictures of this nation. You see, all these things happen because we don't have national directors. Please value the future of our nation. And I think that is coming to this country now will be the sponsor before they give it a green light.
I know a lot of them are Chinese.
So they have to when you go to countries like Japan, Korea,
I've been able to open it. I'm having a problem.
in Africa, people are working all kinds of this. It is hampering our future. Today,
I can't.
the tourism is lost. The few people who are patriotic are being attacked left, right, and center. So where are we going now? So what the gentleman is saying, and both of you are saying, it is a genuine concern for everybody of us to take the light to get rid of this thing. So thank you. I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and you happen to be our last caller. Thank you so much, Alhaji Iribad Ibrahim. I have enjoyed. You know, I always enjoy talking to you. So I wish you well. I wish you well.
I appreciate you.
Great. Keep up the good job.
Thank you. I appreciate it, sir. Thank you.